today's webinar is again going to be a festive theme on this one, recapping the topics and sort of events of the year. We'll find as we go through it, we've sort of tried to condense it a bit more. Last year, I think we went through like every topic, and it's more just the highlights this year. Trying to make it nice, short, and well-rounded for everyone attending today. But yeah, so we're going to be covering new things on all of our different products. So of course, if you've been with us for some time, you'll know, of course, we've gone beyond just the financial management platform, and we've been doing exciting updates across the board. So we're very excited to share those new features, well, 12 of our favorite features from those products throughout the year. So with that, then we'll get started, and Joe's going to kick us off strong with our original platform. Of course, it's going to be our Voly financial management platform and the updates on there.
Thanks, Georgia. Let me just switch into my demo vessel. Like Georgia said, this year a bit different because we've obviously got the opportunity to summarize all of our products. So we're going to pick our favorites from each with 12 in total. So needless to say, these are not the only features that have been released. And please feel free to pop in the chat if you've had any got any feedback for us on some of the releases, perhaps your favorite release based on what you've enjoyed, and we can always then feed that further to our development team to make sure that they use that going forward as feedback for product and development work. Fantastic. So the first one that I felt I had to mention 2025, obviously, is for those of us that were using Voly prior to this, it was a very big change, and that was the arrival of our wonderful side navigation bar. So you'll notice it, obviously, and those of you that use Voly all day long will spend a lot of time there. It's on the left-hand side of your window, whereas previously navigating was done via the top bar, if you recall. So why did we do this? Well, we're looking to bring all of our products in sync as we move forward towards that single sign-on, which is the idea of being able to log in, and within that platform, all of the Voly products will appear, not just the ones we have at the moment, the ones we're building, the ones that we're working on at present. So this was a first step towards that. Obviously, those of you that use Pinpoint Works will be slightly more familiar with this layout. It's also, incidentally, the way that WorkRest is laid out too. You've of course got the option of expanding it there to see exactly how many approvals and how many requests are within there, but you can also see the red dots by the requests and approvals as well to let you know that there's something there waiting for you to action, which is fantastic. Incidentally, those of us that do spend an awful lot of time in Voly will love the fact that it's a lot harder to log yourself out now. Previously, the log out button was just next to the settings cog. So if you were a little bit eager to get to settings occasionally, I'm sure a lot of us will have experienced having to log back in again. Whereas now, obviously, you need to go ahead, click in there and then click log out. So it's 2 clicks, which is a bit of a saving grace from time to time. So yeah, better user experience, much better refreshed look. I'm sure you'll agree. And that's not the only thing that our team in user experience have been working on. There are a number of other things, particularly around tables, isn't it, Georgia, and sort of transaction input, that we're really reflecting on how we can best make the platform look and feel more enjoyable for our users, because we do know if you're using Voly Financial, you're probably spending a lot of your day here. So that's one of my favorite features anyway. Second one relates to our Voly Money offering. So I'm going to nip into our banking page, because this will be something that those clients which have prepaid card floats will and should have been already made aware of. I'll just touch on the reason for prepaid card float. So some of our clients might be thinking, well, I don't know what these are. I only have Voly Money accounts. The difference is, if you've just got Voly Money accounts, they are the money wallets where you can settle invoices from via wire transfer, and you can also load your prepaid cards from there. The addition of prepaid card floats allows you to separate those two out. So that means that it's usually when we have setups where, for example, captain or crew, perhaps purser, will be loading the prepaid cards. However, the management company family office would just like to have a few extra controls in place. And that means that effectively you can only load your prepaid cards from these prepaid card floats. So a standard scenario would be you might have £20,000 in a Voly Money account, which you're using as an administrator to pay invoices, whilst in the prepaid card float is only 1 or 2,000. So you're just limiting there how much Captain can load the cards by virtue of only having those funds available to load. If you are interested, based on what I've just said, on having prepaid card floats added, as usual, drop us a message, get in touch with your client relationship manager, or start a live chat. Now, previously, when money was sent to the Volley Money account, but then you wanted it moving over to the prepaid card flow, you did that via asking your account manager and we'd do it for you really quickly. Now, you can do it yourself, and this is a really great feature. It is something that we need to switch on for you. So if you are using prepaid card floats and you would like to use this, do just get in touch. Let me go into my Volley Money account and show you what the transfer funds button looks like. It's just here, and when I click on there, you'll see I've then got the option of selecting which account I want to transfer funds to. So I'm going to say I want to send this to my prepaid card float in euro. Obviously, we've only got €1 available at the moment. We've been buying all the Christmas presents, haven't we, Georgia? Something like that. So obviously you can select the amount that you'd like to transfer. As usual, very much security at the forefront of everything we do, not only on Volley Money, but the entire platform. So the security code sent via WhatsApp there, enter in those 6 digits, and then I can transfer it. So again, making it even more efficient for you to be loading those prepaid cards, which is fantastic. Incidentally, you'll notice you've also got the option of sending money to a different currency float, which does mean in actual fact, we are able to give you the ability to do low value FX transfers yourself. Now, obviously, you'll be aware our treasury team are always working to save you money where they can on those transfers between different currency accounts, and that's something that they do all day long. So where it's a higher value, obviously, they'd always like to be in contact with you, because often they can find the very best rate actually, which is why they do that. It's always with a view to saving the client's money. So if you are interested in either those same currency transfers between your Volley Money accounts and prepaid card floats, or you're thinking I'd really like the opportunity to do lower value transfers between one currency and another currency Volley Money account, just get in touch. The final feature I'm going to show you on Volley Financial is one which relates to our reports tab. So I'm going to navigate along the lovely side navigation bar into the reports tab, because I want to show you our transaction detail report builder, and you'll see it's still in beta testing, which means we love your feedback on it. As usual, you've got several options in terms of running the report. I'm going to run it just plainly on invoice date, and I'm going to go back to October. This is our most customizable report to date, and it's the way we're going to go. It's the direction of travel for all of our reporting within Volley Financial. And in actual fact, you'll notice it looks very similar to our projects table if you're using projects. If you're not, stick around because Georgia's going to mention it as one of our great features in terms of that table. The beauty of this report is there's a number of things. So firstly, you're able to drag and drop the most important columns to you. So let's say that actually department and description are really important to me, along with the expense category. Well, I'd actually like that to go just like this, which is really useful. On the other hand, I'm not overly concerned by the document number, which means I'm going to scroll down, and then when I find it, I'm going to go, I don't want that to be shown, and apply, and then that goes from my view. In addition, I'm able to filter. You are able to filter via more things than you were previously able to on the old transaction detail, notably department, which has always been a big request from clients. So you can filter by that, obviously the usual things like category, as well as any of your additional fields in there. Grouping, however, is also new. This is really fantastic. So let's say I want to group everything by category. If I do this, obviously I'm still looking at the same data. However, now, rather than being on a purely date basis, everything is grouped by category, which is absolutely fantastic. It really is a great way of having a slightly more interactive report in that you can really tailor it to your requirements. Obviously, you've always got the option of downloading it as an Excel or as a PDF, or adding it to our report pack if that's something that would interest you. We did mention that a number of webinars ago, and that certainly didn't come out this year, for those who remember. So that's our transaction detail report builder. Great tool to be using when you're reporting. If you've not used it already, do give it a go. Like I say, with it being in beta, we are really eager to get your feedback. I'm going to hand over to Georgia now to talk about another one of our products and what's been released this year.
Yeah, thank you there, Joe. Of course, it wouldn't be a Volley webinar without the mention of a transaction detail report. So moving over now to Pinpoint Works then. So Pinpoint Works, of course, has been really seen some of its own changes throughout the year. So of course, again, the navigation bar has seen slight changes on there. But one of the key things that the updates to the system have brought is our reminders ability. So it is something that's been like heavily requested by clients for some time. And of course, you'll notice with a lot of the new features that we're showing you today, it's all client driven. So as Joe mentioned, feedback and things like that are always welcome here at Voly for any of the products you might be using or things you might want to improve. So for reminders then, if you've got your point, and mine is a very sad point list, I will say it's brand new for 2026, we'll say. So we've just got the start of our works coming for January. So here then, for example, I've got my swim deck varnish. Let's say then I want to make it clear when something's happening, or I want to set a reminder. For example, I want to go out and get a quote. In the point itself, you can see here you've got the reminders little icon there. So you can click into it. You can see any other reminders that have been set and click into those. So we can see there the varnish delivery is happening tomorrow. I've added a time on there, some description on that one. But then to create a new reminder or set a reminder for this point, you can easily click set reminder, and then you've got all these free text information boxes that you can add information to. So for example, I'm going to put on here that it's a quote needed to remind me to go and get that quote. And then you can add further information. So contact vendor. I'm sure that you'll all have much more relevant information for your points on there, but we can see there contact vendor. You can see which point it's associated to. So of course, which point the system is manually linking it to, and you can make that change as well. So if you've come into here and you've realized, oh, actually it needs to be for a different point, you can easily click into your relevant sites and then into the relevant point and reallocate it to a different point. Further down here then, we've got who it's for. So right now, of course, I'm logged in as my trusty admin, and let's say I also wanted to add my colleague Alfie to this one as well. It's relevant to him. You can see there with the plus, like with any point and allocations, you just add them to it. And then they're also going to get the relevant reminders for it as well. Further down, you can get really specific with it, not only what date it's happening on, but also you can then say which time it needs to be happening or what time you want that reminder. So for example, I'm going to say it needs to come through at 2. And then we've also, this was slightly later on in the year, so it's sort of a 2-for-1 on updates. We've also got now the repeat ability as well. So not only are we setting this single reminder for one point and one task, we're also then saying, well, actually, this needs to be done every week or every month, day, year, and you can select that. And then also, like with many calendar reminder services, you can then say repeat forever or set an end date for that reminder on there as well. So then when I click set reminder, several things are happening. So of course, within the point reminder, there we can go. We can see all the information in there for all those different reminders I've got. Then what we can also see is on our calendar view. So if we come to the calendar, we're seeing those reminders then appear in the calendar for the date and time that we've selected them. So if you're just having an overview, you've got several different points and things going on, you can click into them really easily, see the information, you can edit it, you can dismiss it to remove it, and you can of course then to delete it to completely remove it from the system rather than just your view. So with reminders comes their own settings. So you can have in-app settings, which means that come 2 o'clock on Friday, I'm going to get a little pop-up message that says, you've got a reminder for this, you can click into it and action it. But also I've got the ability to enable email reminders as well. So I'll also get an email at that time letting me know that this reminder needs actioning in some way. Also, of course, from here, you can set your own reminders. You can select the day and set it as well. Completely customizable. And like I say, you can link it to all of those different points that you need it to. So it's really clear what the reminder's for, as well as all the extra additional information you're inputting on there as well. So a really great feature that was heavily requested and has been really well received on there. And it might be something you've just missed if it's something you've not noticed, that little icon or the abilities to just on there. So that's our first update then from Pinpoint. Our second one is relating now to custom fields. So of course, when you're creating your custom fields, if you're the person responsible for creating them, or even just adding to them, you'll have noticed, let me come back to my site, you'll have noticed that when you create your custom field or you're adding things to a custom field, you have your name here, and this is manually input. So when you come to create a custom field, it asks you for the name on there as well. The issue with this, of course, it can sometimes not be super clear what information is required for your crew. So let's say you're a captain or an admin and you created the custom field, and I know I'm one for this. I think, yeah, it makes sense exactly what time to action means. It might be that actually crew are getting confused by this and they want more clarification. That's absolutely fine because like on Voly, how you can have descriptions for your expense categories, you can now have descriptions for your custom fields and the information you're looking for. So if I come to edit my time to action, I can see here I've now got field description. So I can put on here how long it is. I shouldn't say estimated because I'm not great at spelling it. There we go. Estimated to take to repair, for example, on that one. So then I click save. And then when I come to add a point or see the custom field within a point that's existing, we can easily see now against our time to action, we've now got this little eye. And there is, when we hover over it, that information, just to give that bit more context as to what we're wanting to see in this box here. You can also see as well in our custom field box here, where I've also got my information on that one, it's grayed out and it says locked by admin, and we've got this little padlock. This is also a new feature that we've released this year that allows you to lock off information and custom fields. So it means that then if you are coming to the end of the time with a certain site, so for example, maybe it was the shipyard period and you're coming out of that, you want all of that information locked off, very much like maybe the transaction lock on Voly, if you're familiar with that. You want to sort of hard lock the information. You don't want anyone to be able to edit the information that's been added or add anything new to it within that custom field. Then again, as long as you've got the relevant settings within the custom fields area, you can come into here and you can see our editability section now as well. So you can see where we've got that padlocked off. We can padlock off anyone we want. And then also, should you, as an admin or somebody with the relevant permissions within Pinpoint, want to come and add more information to it at a later stage, it's nice and easy just to unlock, go and make your changes and then relock if needed on there. So you've got that full capability, nice and easy, one click, and it's all then secure across all the points within that site on there. So that's our updates to Pinpoint Works. Of course, we've also got our Volley projects integration. So that did launch last year, but we've spent a lot of time this year on making improvements and better usability for the projects integration. So of course, over on the Volley site, if we come to our projects page, we click into projects here and we've got our projects table. Now, last year we did have a version of a projects table, but very much like our transaction detail report builder, we've gone further steps to make it more customizable and more relevant to you as users. So again, like with the transaction detail report builder, of course, you've got your abilities up here to filter and group information, very much like Joe showed us in that report. We can also drag and drop our specific columns. But also released this year is the save view ability for it as well. So let's say then you've got a specific view, because we can see here I've got a lot of information that maybe isn't super relevant all the time for me. So I want to say, actually, I only want to see certain things, or I want to filter it in a certain way. So I want to make it so I only see certain information on there, and then I can click save views and I can create my save view from my current layout. So now that's going to be saved. I input the name on there. So George's view, and that means then on there what will happen is it will then go ahead and create this save view. So then next time when I come back to it, I can just click into save views and apply that without having to go make all those relevant changes to there as well. So a lot of time saving there, especially if you are somebody who has a really specific setup in the way you want to view the information, and of course it is very reminiscent of Pinpoint and their save views on there as well. The final thing I'm going to show you then, still on projects, is our value mapping tool. Now, that's a really complex way of saying it essentially pulls through costs from your Pinpoint site. So if on your Pinpoint points, you're adding things like quote values or estimates and things like that, that information, as we know, is going to pull through into a custom fields within the table here. But we're going one step further now and actually applying it to our invoices, or when we're invoicing against those different points. So let's say then we've had someone on board coming doing works for several of our different points here. So I'm going to select those relevant ones and I'm going to then click add invoice. What the system will then do is bring you to this page. You can of course skip this if this isn't something that's like relevant or you're not using values over on Pinpoint, but if you are, it is a real time saver. Then the system's going to ask us, essentially, where do we want the invoice value to pull from? So from your custom fields on Pinpoint, where do you want it from? So I've got down here my estimate, as well as my confirm quote. So I'm going to select confirm quote, and then it tells me the value of the job selected. So even if only one of them has a confirm quote value, or if all of them do, it pulls it through. We can see then here our percentage to invoice. So of course I'm going to say it's 100%, but if it's 50%, it's a part invoice for yourselves, you can modify that, as well as the value you want to invoice against. And then, of course, here in the UK, most of our items are 20% VAT. So to make my life even easier, I'm going to say apply that 20% VAT. And then when I click add invoice, it's taken all of that information from the different points. Of course, had I selected categories and cost centres, they'd also pull through. And then it's pulled through the values for the applicable points on there. So I can see the values pulled through. It is still editable, so if you realise, well, actually, it turned out to be a bit cheaper, you can modify it on there. And of course, as always, that's then going to change the information for the invoice, leaving you with the easy task of course, applying the categories and your relevant information up here, and then clicking save invoice. And then, as always, as long as it's not going through for any further approval, instantly that's going to push through onto Pinpoint to say the invoice value. If it is going for approval, it just needs to go through that process, and then it will push through onto Pinpoint, and therefore your projects table as well. So some real relevant time-saving tips and improvements made to the platforms there on both Pinpoint and projects. Of course, we've still got one more platform to go, so I'm going to hand back over to Joe to talk to us about the improvements made on our newest acquired product on there.
Thanks very much, Georgia. Really useful, that invoice mapping tool. I think it just sort of answered the question from some of our clients about those more complex cases of invoicing based on Pinpoint Works values inputted, and it means that rather than having to do anything manually, it's all going to be done for you. Okay, let me start sharing my screen, which is WorkRest. Now, WorkRest at this stage is a little bit more than just WorkRest. So this is obviously our review of 2025's features. I'm going to give you a trick ahead of time. This is the one to watch in 2026, if you like. Let me just tell you the backstory then. So WorkRest was acquired just over a year ago, and at the time it had our hours of rest feature, allowing crew to add the hours they've worked, highlight non-compliances, obviously the ability to sign off timesheets, etc., directly within the platform as a captain, first officer, and also our leave tracker, which is what I'm going to show you quickly today. Just touch on it. WorkRest was acquired around about the same time that Voly Crew Solutions was acquired, based in Guernsey. And obviously they are very experienced HR and payroll management team. That's what they do. They've got an incredible amount of experience between them. WorkRest is going to be the user front end for everything payroll related. So in previous webinars, I've shown you the hours of rest product. We've gone through leave tracking for pursers. We have just, and when I say just, I mean I did my first one about 2 hours ago. We've just launched digital onboarding through WorkRest. So that's what I'm going to talk you through in just a moment. And then I'm also going to talk you through what's going to come at this stage and why now is the best time to get signed up for payroll being provided by Guernsey, Voly Crew Solutions. Before I get there, there are 3 little easy quick features that I'm going to show you that have come through this year, all of which are on the Gantt chart. The first is you've now got the ability to see the Gantt chart. This is for tracking your leave in month, quarter's the new edition, and year. For those unfamiliar, obviously this allows you to see all the leave scheduled for a vessel. Let me highlight the really quick features. I really want to get onto digital onboarding. If you'd like me to give you a demo of the leave tracker or the hours of rest, do just get in touch. Purple's your rotational leave. Red is paid leave and green is any other kind of leave, thinking compassionate leave, things like that, slightly edge cases. The T on each side of the block of leave denotes travel days. So again, you're able to track that depending on whether they're neutral or accruing. That's all in there really easily. From the Gantt chart, you can schedule leave, and obviously that feeds into your accrued leave balances within our summary tab. So that's what you're looking at here effectively. The other beautiful option, which is as of this week available for all views, you can drag and drop. If I want to give Georgia a couple of extra days of leave, I can just do that there with a really quick edit by dragging and dropping, rather than having to click in and edit the leave and then resubmit. The last one, which is really useful and our clients have been really grateful for, is this dotted line, which you'll see here on our cargo engineer Stuart Willis's profile. Now, this is the work anniversary of this crew member. So in addition to this dotted line in the Gantt chart, which is what's the new addition, you can also get an email update when this is approaching. The reason for this is I hear time and time again that crew are paid out for their leave when we're trying to reduce the number of days that crew carry over into another year. This is your ideal opportunity then, isn't it, to be visually reminded of that. I need to go in and make sure that they're not going into 2026, Georgia having far too much leave and missing all of the lovely webinars. Obviously, that's a really useful tool. So there are some of the quick wins. That's 3 that have come throughout this year. Let's talk digital onboarding. So where are we up to with payroll? In a few months' time, we'll be doing a webinar, obviously, and talking you through how this leave chart, with a few enhancements with our Payroll Pro product, will be speaking directly to our team in Guernsey, which means they get all the data to run payroll from WorkRest, and then they do it for you. That's what they're going to be doing. The first step is answering, as our product team do, obviously identifying the problems in the industry and then working backwards to fix them effectively. And that's why digital onboarding has been devised and developed, and it's ready, it's launched, and our first client has gone through it this afternoon. Digital onboarding means if you sign up with our team in Guernsey now, VCS, for your payroll, everybody will get the leave tracker included for free. So every crew member gets a user. You can use the leave tracker and schedule their leave, and they can also be digitally onboarded. That means that each crew member gets an email, and let me just stop sharing and go into my crew user view, because what they will see is a much more slimmed down version of WorkRest, because obviously these are just crew users. They're not administrators, they're not captain, they're not purser. And what this means is that within WorkRest, the crew fill in all of their details for payroll, which goes to the team in Guernsey, ready to run for that first time. So I won't go through every field, obviously, but that's things like all of their personal details, nationality, country of birth, etc. Information about a next of kin too. They can also enter in their medical details here. Obviously, for now, it's a free text box. Needless to say, it will be developed further in future. They also add their documents within here. For example, their passport, which is a requirement for our team in Guernsey to onboard them, adding in the expiry date, the document number, and then uploading it at the bottom. And the one we all know crew will be the most concerned about, they also add their bank details directly from this page. So just like Voly, when you select the currency of the account, you can then go ahead and it will also update with the fields that are needed in order to onboard that account. Crew add their bank details within here. Again, it all goes direct to the team in Guernsey. No more emails, no more spreadsheets. It's all done here. They can also, just to flag, add a second account. We know that crew often like to have a portion paid to one account and a portion paid to the other. So let me go back and show you what this looks like on the other side. So if you're a captain, you're an administrator, you're a yacht manager, let's go back into WorkRest as an administrator and take a quick look at our user management page. Because within the user management page, you will be able to see all of the crew members listed in just a moment, and it will have all the percentages of their progress in terms of adding their details. So as you can see, I can go through here and say, actually, our Captain Jane has not completed all of these different fields, and we'd really like her to do that. It's really clear there for you. It's also easy, and we'll do this for you in the implementation team, and I'll come on to that in just a moment. You can also send a profile reminder directly from the platform. So this is what digital onboarding looks like if you sign up with Voly Crew Solutions. So crew are invited, crew add their details. I, as a captain or administrator, also go in, and we've been through this on another webinar. I add contract SEA information, things like accrual rates, salary, basic details like port of engagement, contract start date, etc. My travel allowance, any starting balances. Again, if you are coming from a different software or a spreadsheet, we can assist you with that. And then effectively, once all of that's up and running, payroll can be run. And that's where we're up to now. What's going to come down the line is, in addition to that, all of the entries within the Gantt chart, a little few upgrades to that, will then speak to Guernsey. So this, if you imagine, is the user front end of Voly Crew Solutions. So in honesty, there's an enormous amount of excitement within the business, and also at all of the events and shows that we go to about this. It's the most exciting thing that we are developing at this time. I think Georgia and I would both agree the best time to join for Volley Crew Solutions for your HR and payroll is now, because it means you can get digitally onboarded. It means you can get all familiar with the platform using that Gantt chart, ready for when in just a few months' time, we could do a call with you and say, hey, here are the latest changes. Here's how now you're going to be running your payroll without having to do any exporting or anything at all, which is going to make it a lot easier to run payroll. So that's WorkRest, and also by extension Volley Crew Solutions, which is definitely my favourite addition this year. That is the roundup then of the 12 features we have launched this year. I think where Georgia and I would probably agree, I think last year we had probably more smaller features that have been released. Certainly the way I consider this year is we've come on in leaps and bounds in a few key areas like payroll, like that user interface on the Volley platform. Obviously, we couldn't do it without all of the team within operations who manage you as our clients day in, day out, but also the product and development team, because obviously they do an enormous amount of work to make this possible. So thank you very much to them. Thank you, everybody. Like I said, we are always really keen to get your feedback as users. So please make sure that you continue sharing that with us either via your client relationship manager or within this chat. And I think other than that, then it's a massive thank you from us and wishing you all a really Merry Christmas, a wonderful, restful period for you all. And we look forward to seeing you all back in the new year, not just for another year of webinars, but another year of features and things to show you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll see definitely from the training side some of your faces again in the new year, and we really look forward to spending more time getting more familiar with platforms as time goes on.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, Georgia. And thank you all for joining all of the webinars that we've done. I think a lot of them have been me and Georgia. So thank you
Thank you.
for sticking with us and listening. Again, any feedback, just let us know. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful time. And we look forward to seeing you next year. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.